It is early morning on Eid, the end of the holy month of Ramadan. In Belleville, Cape Town, Somalis are on their way to prayers. This is a community of refugees. They fled war-torn Somalia to seek asylum in South Africa. But this Eid is not a happy occasion. Recently, several Somalis have been brutally attacked in the Western and Eastern Cape. They had hoped to be living here in safety. Instead, they fear for their lives. About 15,000 Somalis live in South Africa. They arrived here with little or nothing. Although they've been granted asylum, they receive no financial help from the South African government. They have only themselves to depend on for survival. Most have set up small businesses in the poorest parts of the city, where crime is rife. They are frequently held up and robbed. But lately, these attacks have taken a sinister turn.
Of course, we know that some South Africans themselves get killed and get hurt, in the crime spirit in this country. But then, we have a situation where Somalis have been murdered and nothing was being taken out of their pockets, not to mention their shops. Some of the community will say that this is a strategy, even move to execute Somalis.
Since the beginning of August, Muhammad has buried 16 Somalis. They were all shot at point-blank range in their shops around Cape Town. In at least 6 of these murders, nothing was stolen. Muhammad believes they weren't just robberies, they were hate crimes. He believes that the killings are organized by rival South African businesses to drive the Somalis out of the townships.
From the government point of view, they are saying it's not xenophobic, while Somali community are not sharing that these are xenophobic attacks. I think it's the government's part to prove otherwise, but as far as Somalis are concerned, then they think these attacks are justified to be said as xenophobic.
And that would seem to be the case with Muhammad Abdullah Sheikh. 5 men barged into his shop in Kailicha in September and shot him in the head. Nothing was stolen. Muhammad Sheikh is now blind. For him, the townships of South Africa are as dangerous as the streets of Mogadishu.
rajadayda waxaa ku dhacay wixii aan dareensanaa oo dadka la leenayo ee walaalahay ahaa saaxiibaday ahaa la dhacahayo la dhaawacahayo waxaasoon dareensanaa oo aan kolkii horeba walwal qabay inaan sii joogi karin South Africa oo aanan nabadgelyo ku haysanin awood kale oo kolka ama toon ku galaa meel kale ku aado hanteedna aan haysanin marka tii nooca ahayd dareenka ahayd ayaa aniga igu timid marada aniga igu timid oo aniga aan mataqaana laxaadkayga aan waayay darajadii South Africa aan ku joogi lahaa aan sii joogi lahaa halkaas ay ku baabaaday marka taas bay rajadeedii mataqaana South Africa ay ku xumaatay.
He knows other Somalis who've been injured in similar attacks. They're being treated at nearby Tygerberg Hospital. People here are genuinely frightened. In a community this small, everyone knows someone who's been hurt or killed. Here, at the ironically named Rainbow Nation Mini Spaza, a man was shot while we were filming this program. A second bullet hit the wall, which just missed killing him. The police deny that the killings are motivated by xenophobia. They say there's no evidence to suggest the attacks are anything but criminal. They also dispute the Somali death toll. According to police statistics, only 21 Somalis have been killed this year. This is significantly less than the community's count.
What we need to see is, security beefed up, and most of the Somalis who have been murdered now, there's no one who's actually serving a jail sentence for that. So we need more arrests and more prosecution to be done, because I think that has given appetite for the culprits, to carry out their activity against the Somalis.
The attacks on the Somalis are not confined to Cape Town. The most recent and brutal attacks took place here in Port Elizabeth. On a Saturday afternoon in October, 6 men walked into this shop in Izinyoka Township. 3 had guns. They beat up the Somali owners and demanded money. Then they took a bottle of meth from a shelf, poured it over them and set them alight.
Be careful yourself. This is South Africa. You're called Kwara. I don't know what this Kwara means. Foreigner, I don't know what Kwara means. You're crying every day. You're crying. Nobody, since almost 5 years, 3 years, you are crying. Nobody help us.
No.
One man died of his burns. This is not an isolated incident. A similar thing happened a week earlier in another Somali shop in Motherwell, Port Elizabeth. Yet the police continued to claim that these are ordinary robberies.
No.
Why I came here, that I must get a peace. And there's no peace here because I never had someone fire. That's why I want to go back, because there's no one going to be fire. I'm Somali.
Their status as asylum seekers makes the Somalis particularly vulnerable. 2/3 of them still only have asylum papers, so they can't open bank accounts. So in the townships, people know there's cash in their shops.
The South African government, they don't care about the Somalians. Even we haven't got the documents. Like now we are using a paper, permit, yeah, they call it permit, but it's like a paper. Even when you go to police station, they ask you, you have got a document. When you give the paper, they say, this is a paper, this is not a document. We need something, like an idea, something like we can write it.
They have little choice but to carry on. Without refugee papers, they can't get formal employment, and even though the city centres are safer than the townships, they can't afford the higher rents. So despite the burnings, the shops stay open. Many ordinary South Africans have also been traumatized by these brutal attacks. Vuyiswa Zondani was in her house in Ezinyoka when she saw a man on fire in her yard. She can't believe that South Africans who fought for equality and democracy can treat people like this.
I want to do the right thing for God. I want to make that fire gone. I want to get that man healthy.
She took her only blanket and tried to put out the flames, but she could not save him.
Our free country promised us for the good time. And our people, that time the struggle is on, they are going to Somalia, they are going to another country, they are staying there. They are coming back when South Africa is free. Now I can't say nothing, just because I saw my own blood, my own flesh, my own black people dying in front of my eyes. With what? With nothing, I don't know.
Somalis started to arrive in South Africa in relatively large numbers after 1994, fleeing the conflict in their own country. Fatun Osman Ahmed is one of many refugees here. She escaped after her father and brother were killed in the fighting. She made the dangerous journey down Africa alone, hoping to find safety here.
There was fighting and there is many problems, like how you can survive there and how everything is very hard. You can't stay there without money, without anything, and then the problem that every night and every day the people that kill each other.
This is Mogadishu, the capital of Somalia. Like the rest of the country, it's been ravaged by a chaotic war between shifting factions. Since 1991, there have been 14 unsuccessful attempts to set up a central government. An estimated 1 million people have been killed. Successive droughts and famines have made the situation worse. Delivering relief to the starving is complicated and dangerous. UN trucks are regularly attacked or hijacked. The current government was established in 2004. It's largely ineffective, unable to control the Islamic militia in the south. Recently, the Somali parliament voted to bring in African peacekeepers to restore order. The Islamic militias reject this move. Now tensions seem higher than ever, and peace talks have reached a stalemate. The country, once again, seems on the brink of war.
Already we die in Somalia. We don't come to like to die here. They are supposed to help us, the people that struggle, and also South African people, if they treat us like this to kill us, where we can get help. Who is gonna help us? Because the blood is same and the color is same. We are same people.
It's in the marketplaces that the hostility towards the Somalis plays out. Their asylum status in South Africa means they can't get formal jobs. They have to make it in the informal sector. This brings them in direct competition with other poor South Africans also trying to eke out a living.
Yeah, they're spoiling our business, Somalians, because they took all the businesses in our location, even in the township. They took all the businesses. Because the people don't want to buy us, our prices is higher than the Somalians. Though our communities, they buy for the Somalians shop now.
Somalis sell their goods at lower profit margins than their South African competitors, relying on volume to earn an income. When we looked at prices, the differences were striking. In this stall, jeans sell for 140 rand. In the Somali stall next door, the same jeans cost 120 rand. This is the root of the growing resentment.
I think the governments try to reduce the Somalians in our locations because they do this, all the things what's so bad in our location. They're selling drugs, they rape our people. They do everything what's so snacks for the community.
Blaming society's problems on outsiders is dangerous. When resentment runs deep, business jealousy can easily become deadly. Too many people Fatu knew have been killed. She's feeling trapped and worried, facing what she sees as persecution yet again.
My business is coming to be down when I was in location because of too scared every time. Because you listen in Kelicha someone's die, and then in Delef someone's die, in Danun someone's die. Like yesterday, you say, "Oh, some person you know, do you know is died?"
The Human Rights Commission believes that the problem is rooted in our own history.
It's not surprising to me that in the context where we're grappling with social issues, issues of diversity, racial integration, economic and social rights, competition for resources, it's not surprising that there would be a sense of territoriality, a sense that the other is coming to displace us and remove our livelihoods, in a sense, may have contributed towards an increase in our xenophobia.
Somalis feel they're under siege in these townships. The bars that surround their shops can't always protect them. Fatun packed up and left after her business partner was robbed and killed at this store in Delft in Cape Town.
Because of scared, you're scared. You can't walk. Because if someone is coming inside the shop, you don't know if he's taking out the money or you don't know if he's taking the gun out.
She abandoned her shop, losing everything. She is once again displaced and has to start from scratch. A refugee in the very place she sought asylum.
I'm living with the ladies. I'm living with travel now because I don't have money. In South Africa, you can't stay without work and without money. And I don't know how I'm gonna start now.
In Masiphumelele township near Fisher, Cape Town, violence against Somali businesses recently exploded. One night in August, a mob of about 300 locals attacked and looted their shops, stealing and destroying what they could. More than 30 Somali shopkeepers were forced to flee.
anigoo macnaha waxba filin oo lama filaan ah ayaa dhowr boqol oo qof u imaaday way macnaha halkan ka arkay ay ko soo socdo halkan ka arkay marka anigoo dad caawinaya marka way imaadeen macnaha laba albaab oo dukaankii oo macnaha markii albaabka hore isla qabteenay way fujiyeen albaabka kale ay dhax ku soo jibsheen taas daradeena wana saaga cararay.
Like many others, Ibrahim is not returning to his shop. He's got nothing to go back to. The incident prompted the government of the Western Cape to intervene. Investigations have revealed that local businessmen organized the township youth to attack the Somali shops.
Somalis have come to the Western Cape and brought a completely different business practice. They have done things completely out of the box. And this has fundamentally threatened the monopoly that South African township business people have had over a captive audience. Suddenly people have choices for cheaper prices and for varying quantities.
But the reality may be more complicated than straightforward business rivalry. For the many youngsters, unemployment is a stark reality, and their anger is directed at the Somalis.
They must not come to the townships, you see, because they are going to get killed.
I think they deserve it because you see there are people who are also trying to start a business here. Now they can't success because these Somalians, they come, then they sell their stuff cheap, you see.
We are not educated, we don't know how to hit their market and everything, so I think it's totally unfair for them to come here and the members of the parliament to say that, okay, fine, they must come here to the township. Why they don't take them and put them in the places where, where they stay, in Constantia or wherever.
After the Masiphumelele attacks, locals were quick to take over and rebuild the shops that until a few months ago belonged to Somalis. It seems as if they had intended to teach the Somalis a lesson and establish who is boss. A forum for local business people, the Siaka Business Trust, is shaping the new order in the township. Although they claim not to have been behind the attacks, they were aware of the tensions.
The Somalians, they just come to overpopulate the place also as well, so that they didn't actually give the chance the other people actually to run the business.
For as long as anyone can remember, there was an unspoken gentleman's agreement among local shopkeepers. They all charged more or less the same prices for goods. Then the Somalis came and upset the balance. Rather than seeing the competition as healthy, locals want to re-establish the old ways, by force if necessary.
I must abide by law, I can say so, by restrictions also as well, you know what I mean? Because we can't say that actually they must actually running the business and demoralizing the status of the existing business in Masiphumelele. We can't accept that. That is not good enough. That is not fair.
The government of the Western Cape is facilitating negotiations between the Siaka Business Trust and the Somalis. But reaching a consensus over prices is going to be difficult. The Siaka Business Trust is busy investigating the few Somali businesses that reopened. They're not happy about the low profit margins. They want the Somalis to raise their prices.
We've been called here in South Africa that we are the criminals. We are not the criminals. we've been actually mobilizing the meetings in terms of reaching the resolutions between actually the problem which affect the business people of Mazipumelele and also the Somalians. Probably actually in that meetings, we've been actually highlighting the issue concerning with influx, the issue concerning with low prices.
The community is divided on the issue. For ordinary people, the Somalis provide goods that are affordable and they want them to stay.
Like me, I don't have a work and I found something cheap there in Somalia. But we black people of here in South Africa, we are too expensive in our shops.
This is one of the few Somali families that returned after the attack. They came back because they felt they had no other options.
I go outside, but I don't have a work. What must I do? I have to come back to start. How can I get my life back? You see? If I go, who's giving me what I eat or what I that is the question. See?
He is trying to be positive about the future, but the worry in his wife's eyes tells a different story. They're afraid that speaking their mind might incur the wrath of the locals yet again. So they choose rather to work with the Siaka Business Trust to find a solution.
On that time, my feel was sore, but now after that, they said that in the people on Musipulele, there was a sorry, and then come back like a happy and or something like that. But we come back already, and we are doing back our business, and we are discussing them how we can work together with them.
It appears that the Somalis are going into these negotiations with their hands tied, despite assurances from the government.
It is facilitated by the government of the Western Cape, who has a good sense of what is right and wrong, who has a good sense of the history of the rest of the continent's hospitality towards South Africans when we faced the dark days of apartheid. And so I think we've gone into that meeting insistent that a crime is a crime, that negotiations is not there to get a murderer off the hook or a property destroyer freed.
Whether these lofty ideals will be shared by people on the ground is yet to be established. But the situation is being closely monitored by an anxious Somali community. Through internet and satellite television, they're keeping an eye on what's happening to their compatriots in other South African townships, as well as on the events unfolding in Somalia. But whatever the outcome, it's unlikely that they will be going home soon.